The Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 13 cast was expected to use the retreat to recover and regroup. But what transpired was far from peaceful. It all started with a brief altercation between Bambi and Spice. Fans are used to heated disagreements, but no one expected what happened next. Erica Mena yelled at Mendeces in front of the entire group, compelling everyone to pay attention, screaming, "Now viral line, I will lock you up." Yandy was taken completely off guard, standing frozen and hopeless. Her eyes communicated everything, confused, betrayed, and terrified. It felt as though time had stopped right there. Videos have spread. Fans are reacting in real time and asking the same question. What caused Erica to reach a boiling point? Was it anything Mendeces said, or did years of tension finally kick in? An honest emotional outburst. The internet is inundated with reactions. Some say Erica went too far. Others argue that Mendeces must have done something off camera to elicit her outrage. Yandy slept standing in the middle of it, watching her world unravel again. This was not a typical retreat fight. This was personal, with undertones of legal threats and unresolved conflicts. Viewers are left thinking, did Season 13 just change everything for this trio? Let's break everything down. It began like any other phony conversation on a love and hip-hop trip. Drinks, awkward smiles, and the quiet tension you can sense but don't say anything about. The actors had been reunited for what the producers called a therapeutic retreat, but everyone watching knew it was just a matter of time before something erupted, and this time it didn't take long. What started it all wasn't even that serious. At first, Bambi and Spice had a little back and forth about who was being fake and who wasn't. Spice threw shade, and Bambi clapped. Within minutes, the entire group had gone from lighthearted quips to rising voices and sideways eyes. Bambi stood up, drink in hand, her voice steady but agitated. "You've always got something slick to say," she reprimanded Spice, her tone hard. Spice refused to back down, tossing her hair off her shoulders as if the comments didn't hurt her. "Nah. You're just sensitive. Don't blame me if your truth sounds like shade." That was all it took. The table fell silent, all eyes on the two women, tension crackling like a live wire. Yandy leaned down and muttered something to Mendeces, hoping to calm things down, but the fuse had already been lit. Nobody recognized it at the time, but Erica had been seething. She wasn't involved in the original disagreement, but you could see her jaw clenching and her eyes roaming the room, waiting and watching. When Bambi described artificial friendships and individuals merely showing up when cameras were present, something changed in Erica, and her eyes shifted to Mendeces. "And Yandy, that's amusing," she shouted loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Some people here like performing when they think no one is watching." Mendeces raised an eyebrow, startled. "What does that mean?" he said gently but firmly. Erica tilted her head, smirked, and said, "You know what it means? You and your picture perfect wife need to stop acting as if you're above the mess when you're half the time stirring it." Yandy looked surprised. "Erica, this has nothing to do with us," she said calmly, but her voice had an edge to it, tight and controlled, as if she was trying not to let the situation impact her. Mendeces stepped in, raising his hands, and "We're not here for that," he clarified. It was supposed to be a clean slate, but Erica wasn't done. She pushed up from her seat and pointed. "A clean slate," she said, her voice rising. "You can't just show up after everything and claim you're not a part of the problem." The room evened out. All of the minor side conversations came to a stop. The phones were already out, and someone had struck a record. Bambi and Spice were watching, their fight entirely forgotten, when Erica began. Pacing. "Do you want to appear innocent?" she said. "But I recall what you said about me. It's the tiny comments and side talks you imagine I didn't hear." Mendeces shook his head. "I'm not even sure what you're talking about." But Erica didn't listen and pointed again. "Do not lie. You and your wife like pretending like you're above it all, as if you don't or get messy behind others' backs." Yandy opened her mouth to say something, but Erica cut her off before she could finish. "And you just stand there, letting him ramble, and smiling as if you're not a part of it." Yandy's face shifted. She had been trying to remain cool, hold on to cracked. "You have some anxieties," she said softly. "If you have a problem with me, say so, but don't bring my marriage into your troubles." Erica laughed bitterly. "Oh, this is a mess now. Yandy, I thought you were above the masses. Isn't that what you've always claimed? Always talking about family and healing, but you get to choose who receives your grace. Mendeces walked between them. "This is getting out of control," he said. "We really need to cool out." But his words did not ease anything. It only made Erica snap harder. "You think you can just play the peacekeeper and nobody will call you out? Not this time." She moved closer to him, her face inches from his. "Keep talking, slick, and I promise you'll be locked." The comments pierced the silence in the room, and everyone froze. Gandhi opened his lips but said nothing. Mendeces took a step back, surprised. "What did you just say?" Erica said, crossing her arms. "You heard me. I'm weary of the games. Keep pushing me, and we'll see how soon things go wrong." Her voice was calm, but the warning was loud. Bambi let out a low whistle. She whispered, taking out her phone as everyone else had. Spice mumbled something to the girl next to her, her eyes widening. One of the producers standing off camera took a step forward, clearly unsure whether to remove the scene or let it play out. The Mendeces did not move. His jaw was stiff. "You're threatening to call the cops on me. For what?" Erica shrugged. "Whatever I feel like. Perhaps for getting too close. Perhaps for attempting to intimidate me. Or perhaps you believe you can talk to me in any way because you are the most composed person in the room." She looked around and said, "Let's not pretend. Like men don't get away with a lot on this show just because they keep their voices low." Yandy stepped in, her voice sharp. "Stop it, Erica. You are twisting everything. No one approached you. No one raised their hand. You initiated everything." Erica shifted, her eyes burning. "I started this." "Nah. Y'all started it by making me feel like the insane one. As if I was always doing too much when all I was doing was reacting to being pushed." Mendeces took a big breath and tried to settle things down again. "Listen, I don't want any problems, but you can't go around threatening people like that." Erica smiled, but it was cold. "Watch me," she said, "because the next time I'll do it, not just say it." Someone in the background lets out a low damn. The atmosphere in the room had entirely altered. No more laughs, no more artificial peace. This was a serious boundary being crossed, and no one knew what would happen next. The cameras were rolling, the producers were transfixed, and Yandy appeared to be breaking. She wasn't yelling or weeping. However, her hands shook slightly, indicating that something inside her had moved, something that would be difficult. Spice nodded, her stare fixated on Erica as if she couldn't believe what she'd just witnessed. Erica turned away and went a few feet, as if she was finished. But everyone knew she wasn't. She was pacing, arms crossed over her chest, teeth clenched. "Have you ever had enough?" she asked, not looking back at them. "Like just done with people acting like they can play with your name and your story and think there won't be consequences." Yandy's voice was low, hoping to keep things from going any further. "Erica, no one is messing with your name. We didn't even bring you up tonight." Erica paused and slowly turned around. "Oh, now I'm making stuff up." Her gaze switched from Yandy to Mendeces, laser sharp. "You're always acting so clean and innocent. I utter one word, and I become the villain. But when you talk behind closed doors, it's a different story." When Mendeces finally came forward, the air in the room became tighter, and even the producers had stopped trying to be invisible. A few of them whispered to each other near the members had slipped outside, not wanting to be caught in the middle of what appeared to be a fast-escalating crisis, and they were debating whether to cut the cameras or keep recording. Phones and a few castings were still active. Then came the moment. Erica's voice fell, but the way she spoke sent shivers through the audience. "Say it again slowly," she murmured, walking back toward Mendeces. "If you keep pressing me, I'll lock you up. For good this time." "No, I do not. I don't care who's watching. Try me." Mendeces remained motionless, but the tension in his jaw spoke it all. Yandy went between them, one hand outstretched to Erica, the other reaching back to touch Mendeces' chest. "Stop," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "Please, this isn't who we are." Erica laughed sharply. "Who we are?" she explained. "Girl, you have forgotten who you are. You used to be an advocate for women. Now you stand behind your husband like a shadow, afraid to confess that he might be the problem at times." That stung Yandy hard, and her eyes flicked to Mendeces before returning to Erica continued. "Don't talk to me as if you know me. You think yelling and threatening makes you strong, but it simply makes you look confused." Erica's face flashed, briefly with something, probably hurt or regret, but she quickly swallowed it. "Nah," she replied, What makes me strong is not allowing anyone to make me feel small again. There was no man, woman, or producer. She took a step back and crossed her arms again. And if you can't handle me being honest, perhaps you shouldn't invite me around. Mendeces looked down, slowly shaking his head. Nobody is intending to make you feel tiny. You've got things, and we are, dealing with, but attacking me in front of everyone, that's not right. Or raised an eyebrow. Oh, now you're concerned about what's proper. She looked around. You didn't care when you told people I was unstable and couldn't be trusted. You mentioned it, didn't you? Mendeces didn't react. You didn't have to. The silence said it all. Someone from the crew finally interfered, seeking to gently advise a break. Maybe we'll take 5, he said calmly, but nobody moved, and the cast remained captivated on the scene. Even Spice, who usually didn't say much, was quiet now, her gaze darting between the 3 of them as if she were watching the final round of a fight no one expected. Then, as if she couldn't take it any longer, Yandy broke. I have defended you, she continued, her voice quivering. I've stood between you and my husband so many times, even when people warned me not to, even when you threw me under the bus. And I'm still trying to avoid things from getting worse. Her voice cracked. Do you hear yourself? Erica did not respond at first. She simply stared before saying, maybe you should stop standing between us. Start seeing who he really is. And that's when the last thread holding the room together snapped. Yandy's hands dropped. She walked back gently and without saying anything. Anything but the expression on her face was utterly devastating. She was not simply hurt. She appeared to have just witnessed her loyalty ripped apart and thrown at her. Mendeces stared at her with concern on his face but did not touch her. Perhaps he understood it wouldn't help. Perhaps he was too stunned to respond. The silence that followed was heavy. Even Erica seemed to realize she'd gone too far, but it was too late. The damage was done. Everyone knew it wasn't simply reality TV anymore. This was personal. There's a deep, painful dot outside. The sky had turned dark. The retreat, which was supposed to heal old wounds, instead caused new ones. While the cameras continued to roll, the cast strained to understand how they had arrived. How a vacation designed to promote peace turned into a war of words, threats, and emotional devastation. Nobody knew what would happen next. They were just aware that whatever occurred next would change. Erica met his gaze. You've been judging me since day one, she said softly. You smile in my face, but I can hear what you're saying behind me. You and Yandy both. Mendeces shook his head. Nobody is perfect. Yeah, we may have said something, but coming after me like that is inappropriate. Especially not in front of a large crowd. He peered around the room, his voice becoming slightly louder. People already assume they know us from what they watch on TV. But what they witnessed tonight, but that's not the full tale. Yandy eventually spoke, her tone low and steady. We all say things when we're hurt, but she paused. This was different. You didn't mean to cause him pain. You tried to destroy him. And for what? Because you assumed we did not respect you. That is not how you get respect, Erica. Erica stood up again. I don't need a lecture from you. She replied, you've been lying to me for years. All of your help is based on making you look good. But when I call something out, I become the villain. Yandy said calmly, you made yourself the villain tonight. You did it all on your own. The words landed hard. Erica's jaw contracted. She appeared ready to fire again, but something stopped her. Maybe it was weariness. Perhaps it was Yandy's expression of complete exhaustion and shutdown. The excitement in the room was palpable. No one was no longer yelling. However, the silence seemed much more intense. Everyone was waiting to see who would speak next and what action would be taken. And then, unexpectedly, a phone alert broke. The tension. One of the crew members gasped as he looked down at his screen. Yo, they replied, it's already online. Within seconds, everyone had their phones out. Social media had picked up on the incident. The video of Erica shrieking, I'll have you locked up, had already gone viral. Pages continued posting it. Fans dissected it. The hashtags were flowing. The hashtags #Erica Mena, Mendeces #YandY, and #LHH Season13 were popular. People were taking sides in real time. Spice shook her head, scrolling through her account. Hey, the comments are crazy. Bambi, leaning over and reading along. Some believe Erica set him up. Okay. Others think Mendeces deserves it. Yandy, for a brief moment, everything slowed down. The cameras were still shooting, but it appeared like the world had shrunk. Only the three of them stood in the midst of a disaster they couldn't reverse. Then the door opened. A producer entered and whispered something to another crew member. The message spread swiftly. VH1 was all ready. I'm demanding a review of the footage. The legal staff had been notified just in case. It wasn't just drama anymore. This was business. And when it occurs, everything changes. Yandy stared at the cameras and then at Mendeces. They aren't going to let this go, are they? He shook his head. Not with that video out there. Erica remained silent. Her phone vibrated again. Another message. Another blog repost. The weight of what she'd spoken was catching up fast, and you could feel it settle on her shoulders. I considered going outside. The air was cool. However, everything inside the retreat house continued to burn. The damage was done. Trust was shattered. Reputations are on the line. And although the rest of the world watched on their televisions, only those in that room knew how real it felt. This was no longer a narrative. This was the cost of getting recognized, speaking too loudly, and pushing too much. Nobody knew if there was a way back. Not this time. Later that night, the retreat home fell silent, but it did not feel peaceful. It felt broken. Typical chuckles, late-night beverages, and introspective discussions in the kitchen. None of this was occurring. Dead. Rooms were closed, lights dimmed early, and the few surviving cast members conversed in whispers. Yandy sat alone on the back terrace, wrapped in a blanket, gazing out at the trees. Her phone buzzed every time. She didn't look down for longer than a few seconds. She knew exactly what it was. Additional clips, comments, and noise. Inside, Mendeces paced the corridor. He hadn't slept or eaten, and he couldn't stop replaying everything in his head. The way Erica said those words, how the audience reacted, and Yandy's expression changed as the internet took over the story. It was more than just the moment. It was about everything that came after. How can you recover from being accused of camera and threatened with police involvement while the entire world watches in live time? Erica sat curled up on the side of a bed in another room, reading her texts. Some people supported her, calling her brave for standing her ground. Others described her as dangerous, cunning, and even malevolent. She'd gone through a lot on the show before, but this was different. She knew it. She felt something in her chest. And even though she wasn't ready to admit it, she knew she'd gone too far. There was a quick knock at her door. She did not answer immediately. Another knock, then a low voice. I am almost tired. Can we talk? It was Mendeces. She gently opened the door, her expression opaque. He stood there, hands in his pockets, not angry or combative, just there. Following the beat, she stepped aside, allowing him in. The room was dimly lit, and the television was showing something neither of them were interested in. Mendeces sat across from her. The silence remained for a moment before he So, you threatened to call the cops on me? He asked calmly. However, his voice was heavy. You know how that looks, right? Not just for me, but for Yandy, our children, and all we've been trying to build. You made me feel like nothing. She snapped back, finally looking him in the eye, as if I were always the loud and dramatic type. One is the one that everyone rolls their eyes at. I was tired of being dismissed. Then say that, he replied. Say you feel disrespected. Say you're hurt. But do not arm the police, Erica. Not in this world. Not in this climate. She did not respond to that. Her attention shifted back to her hands, twisting them. For once, Erica Mena remained silent, very quiet. I'm not here to fight, Mendeces stated. I only wanted to inform you face to face that you stated ... It landed hard. It's more than just an act for the show. It's real life, and people are injured. There was a lengthy gap before Erica eventually said, I didn't want to hurt you. But you did? He replied softly. Downstairs, Yandy was conversing with one of the producers. Her tone was low and controlled, yet every phrase was serious. I do not want things to become twisted. People must understand that what happened was not scripted. Nobody told her to say that. That was real. And if it is modified to appear as a tiny combat, it will cause more damage than you know. The producer nodded and wrote something down, vowing to return it to the network. But Yandy had been playing this game for too long. She understood how these things worked. Hey, one explosive clip may define an entire season. A poor edit, can damage a reputation. And once it was out, there was no turning back. Later that evening, the cast gathered for a group scene, something the creators hoped would bring closure or at least some clarity. They sat in a big circle in the main living area. Bambi and Spice stayed quiet, Shakina leaning back in her chair. She studied everything with the same dubious face she had usually had. Erica arrived last, her countenance unreadable. Yandy, Y sat across from her. Mendeces remained by her side. When the camera began rolling, the room fell silent for a long time. Yandy finally broke the silence. This retreat was supposed to help us reconnect and rebuild, but it became something else, and I think we can all see why Erica didn't react. Yandy stated, "I don't hate you. I don't even detest you, but I feel cheated. I'm not sure if we can recover from this." Erica nodded slowly. "I don't expect you to forgive me anytime soon, but I wanted to say something." The room leaned in slightly, and everyone paid close attention. "I've been through a lot in my life, things that compelled me to act before I considered. And this is not an excuse. It's just the truth. I felt cornered. I felt judged. I lash out. I should not have uttered the things I did." There was a pause, especially not about police. Mendeces checked her face for earnestness. "That's the beginning," he explained. Spice, she crossed her arms. "People aren't going to forget about this, right?" "I understand," Erica said, "but I needed to express it," Bambi explained. "Then let it be the last time, since the next time it may not make headlines. It might be real." Everyone nodded slowly. Even the producers appeared relieved, as if they had accomplished all necessary to carry the production forward. However, the energy remained heavy. Nobody was laughing. Nobody hugged it out. There was also a wound, fresh. That night, the last group dinner felt weird. People sat in small groups, eating quietly while their phones buzzed with notifications and remarks. There were no great explosions or new conflicts, just silence, tension, and people trying to figure out what had happened. Yandy returned to her room and posted a short message on her Instagram story, which was written on a dark screen. "Even when it is terrible, we may learn from our experiences." Erica avoided social media that night. She didn't have to read the comments to grasp what they were saying. Instead, she sat with her journal open and a pen in hand, hoping to write something honest. She started, stopped, and restarted. "Today, I said something I can't take back, and maybe tomorrow I'll figure out how to make it right." Mendeces did not post anything. He didn't go live. I didn't text anyone back. He merely lay in bed next to Yandy. Both of them stared at the ceiling, nervous about what would happen next. This wasn't just another season. This signaled a turning point. By the next morning, the retreat had officially concluded. Producers requested early checkouts. Fans waited outside for the cast to be brought back to the airport. Everyone packed carefully, hugging only those they were close to. Erica came to a halt as she passed Mendeces and Yandy in the driveway. She paused. "I meant what I said last night," she explained quietly. "And I hope that someday things will be different."